Good evening. You are joining with Spotlight on ChannelEye. On today's program, we are going to take a look at the development side of the country. When it comes to development, it's not just the buildings you see. There's so much more that happens behind the scenes as well. Many years ago, when the war ended, Sri Lanka experienced a surge in development when it comes to changing its landscape, changing its skyline, and so much more happened. And we also experienced a lot of excitement because it was very new back then, and we were seeing many new things erupting in the country. We were suddenly a country with so many highways and so many other projects going on, and also new infrastructure such as man-made islands, and also a number of other things such as international airports, secondary airports, and also an international port as well. All these things happened when we could see them, but since recently, we have started to question as citizens, are these developments are still happening, or is it the fact that we don't see them because they might be happening behind the scenes? So today, to discuss this, we have invited Mr. Milinda Rajapaksha, the Additional Director General of the Department of Government Information, and he's also the Director of Media Center for National Development as well. Not only that, he is also a writer and also an activist and also a very young politician. So good to have you, sir, in the studio today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes. So as a headline, or rather an intro to the discussion, let's speak about the snapshot of today's Sri Lanka's development. How it is like? Is it the fact that we don't see it, or is it really happening?
It's really happening, but some of the meanings for some of the very important key words has been changed over the time. That is very much applicable to development too. But I will start from somewhere else. That is the national security. A country which has gone through 30 years long war, when you say national security, first picture comes to us is the army or the police soldiers having big weapons, then barracks, then army checkpoints. That's what we knew as the national security. But we all know very well today, national security means not only the weapons and the army and the police, but today the people who are in the forefront of the national security is doctors and the nurses and the healthcare staff members. Yeah. They are the one who are protecting the national security at the moment. So the definition for the national security has changed and evolved all around the world. Even you remember those days we used to talk about countries coming and invading other countries. But today no one has to take a ship and come and invade another country. The entire invasion will happen via the internet. No one will come and attack Rupavahini Corporation, but will hack your IT system. Then you are completely under control of one small hacker who is in a basement somewhere. So the meaning of some of the words have changed. Same is applicable to development. Today, development is not just putting up highways or the rather infrastructure development, but today the development is more focused on the human development, the social development, and the political development of the political landscape. That is what one major objective when we were establishing the political party SLPP, how we can bring a new development to the political climate of this country. But that is the new meaning of the development. When we came to power, vistas of prosperity, that is the policy dialogue Saubhagya Dakma of President Gotabaya Rajapaksha, which was given which was the people's mandate for this country's bigger development framework. Then he took it to the parliament and got it sealed from the parliament. He said, this is my development framework. But from that day to today, we have been going through a very different, very serious universal crisis. This is not a local crisis, a universal crisis which has been hit by the entire world in different levels. After 1930s, this is the biggest humanitarian crisis we are going through. This is the biggest economic crisis we are going through. No one can help anyone else. Today India can't come and help us. Today European Union is not in a position to help another country. Today America has to deal with their own problems in their own country. So this is a very, very different scale of problem which we all are facing. So today if you ask me what is the development priority, that is not the development priority when we were writing the vistas of prosperity.
Right.
When we were developing the national development plan until 2030, because no one expected this.
Expected it, exactly.
So yes, today the priorities has been changed, the definition has been changed, the targets have been changed. By end of 2021, we had clearly laid out some of the goals, some of the targets we wanted to achieve in agriculture, in transport, in education, but we couldn't achieve any of those things. When we came to power, by end of 2021, we wanted to finish at least half of the national school project. That means, I don't know whether you remember, we initiated a new project uplifting 1,000 schools to be national schools, Jatika Pasal. So that is that. If we finish it by 2021, that would have changed the way we see the education infrastructure of this country.
That's right.
But Varuna, today we can't even open schools. Rather uplifting 1,000 schools to be national schools. Today the biggest crisis is how we are going to manage the political crisis of teachers. Rather salary issue, I would say it is a political issue. And how we are bringing online education into schools. Even channels like you, Rupavahini, is doing a massive job bringing education into national television and then delivering it to each and every home. So the development priorities have changed. Yes, it is happening. If you ask me whether development is happening now, today, yesterday, most of the curfew restrictions were uplifted. Now I am actually trying from morning trying to convince the finance minister and the other officials to open at least the 25% of capacity of the restaurants in Colombo.
Right.
They are suffering. They are suffering. So in the morning, Mr. Harpo Gunaratne and the team had talked to the finance minister and requested. So we are trying to convince other officials at least to give 25% of the seating capacity opportunity for restaurants to open and run. And last week we intervened and we got finance minister's involvement and opened all the bookshops. Because this is the literature month, and we are going through the most difficult time same time. So, but the government allowed bookshops to open. So it's everyone's responsibility. So yes, so development is happening in different levels, in different segments, in different ways.
Okay. So that's the development that we see which impacts all the citizens out there. Now, if we speak about major projects such as the Colombo Financial City, or what we call the Port City, what's happening there? Because we as citizens, we tend to see certain things happening. We hear on news and we see how intervention happens from different other countries as well. How is this impacting Sri Lanka's growth, and how is it going to enable further development of the country in the future?
If we talk specifically about the port city, which is going to be the modern era wonder of this country, I think that is a new development experience for us. This development came to us in different ways. In 1977, it came as the open economy. After 2010, it came as the infrastructure development which you and I experienced today after 2010. But Port City is going to bring us completely a different experience, that is internationalization of this island. Even though we were so proud of being located in such a strategically important place in Indian Ocean, we never utilized it. Rather, we got hammered because of that. From Portuguese to Dutchess to everyone, we got hammered because of that. But actually, this is the first time I would say we are properly going to maximize that opportunity. Now, port cities, we all talk about bringing international investors to port city and putting up big building and business there. That is just 20 to 25% of the entire opportunity which is coming to Sri Lanka. Port city is going to relax and introduce modern investment laws and regulations.
Right.
it is going to enable investors from all around the world to come and secure their progressive investments in this region. And it is going to be not just an investment hub for Sri Lanka, but this is going to be the gate for South Asia. This is exactly how places like Singapore, Thailand, Hong Kong open up to that entire East Asia region. You know, that time entire today if you look at what is the most powerful regional collaboration is in East Asia.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, when the East Asian government leaders meet, Barack Obama visited that meeting and sat with them because the world power is shifting towards that. So the next power hub is going to be East Asia, and we are the most we are the neighbor. We are the neighbor of that big power. This is going to happen after like 200, probably 500 years. We are going to get the power back. We had the power long ago, the Chinese empire and all, emperors and all. Then it shifted to West. Now it's coming back. Are we ready when it comes back? You know, we have to be ready with infrastructure, with right rules and regulations, with correct investment environment. That is what Port City is going to bring here. That is what Port City is going to build here. It is not just building and probably some $1 billion coming into the economy. It's beyond that. And yes, it will create more than 80,000 jobs for local young people who are capable and intelligent enough to work in international organizations. That will create completely new economical opportunities like digital currency, digital banking. That will also give our hoteliers, our what to call this real estate development sector to walk in and build some state-of-art buildings there and go international. Those are 10-20%. But what I am saying is, what the bigger opportunities, this is going to open a gate for the entire world to penetrate into South Asia. That power we are going to hold. That's a big power.
Yeah, so because this is an asset that not any other country has at the moment.
No.
Because we being in a key position and also being able to invite them is something like a superpower, I think.
Yeah.
Well, how about this? Now, we speak about all these possibilities, but how is the timeline like for us to see actual effect?
No, see, if we continue this project as we started by His Excellency the President Milinda Rajapaksha, as he envisioned, even you remember Chinese Premier was here, it was honor to us. So as they envisioned, if we started this and continued, today we would have seen 2-3 buildings up there. At least the marina area is in function, at least. But unfortunately last 5 years this was politicized, this was victimized, and of course the entire country was politicized and victimized. So Port City and many other infrastructure developments, investment developments were scrutinized and destroyed. So the entire project got delayed from 5 years. That is the suffering we all are having now. But now we have we have increased the level of engagement from the government. The commission has been established. So the commission is working on all the policy level decisions, and the Port City has been gazetted under the president, which shows the entire world that, guys, listen, this is a highest level priority for our country. And most probably we will do the groundbreaking of putting the first development that is going to be a mixed development, office spaces, then the recreational space, then the apartments. That building will, that I think 3 or 4 buildings together, that will come up first. So the groundbreaking will happen most probably early November, with the participation of the president, our president, and most probably at least the president or the representative of the president from premier from the Republic of China. That will give a much bigger message to the entire world, even during the hardest time of us and the China. Even China is going through a hard time, you know, with the corona and all. What they committed they have kept the promise.
Right.
So we will start the visible infrastructure development from November onwards.
This November.
This November.
Wow, that's really close. That's good.
Yeah.
To see. That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
You mentioned about this message that we'll be sending out to the international other countries. Basically, it will also shock some of the countries. Like we can see intervention happening from India, US, because obviously it get affected. Even like one ship that normally docks in their harbors could even divert to our harbor. So what kind of impact will that make on the international relations front?
Now, see, what will happen is, this is why I told at the very beginning, we are strategically located. That's a natural gift.
Yeah.
And we are also located close to some of the superpowers like India. You know, that's also sometimes very helpful, sometimes very risky.
Yes.
Because you have a superpower next to you. Then the world's biggest new development is the new Silk Route. We all know that. The earlier Silk Route we all knew when we were studying for O levels and A levels, but now there is a new Silk Route, One Belt, One Route initiative by the China, which is the biggest investment which had happened in the human history.
Biggest ever.
Biggest ever in the human history. They are building an entire new route from China to Europe. And that's ending up, that corner is in Italy. And this corner is in Beijing.
Which means you're isolating the US and the entire...
Yeah. You are basically, that's what very painful for Europe, and this entire new trade war which USA initiated against China was a result of this. But this new development, this new One Belt, One Route initiative is changing the global landscape, and especially the landscape in Sri Lanka, because we are the most lower level in the entire map. We are down here holding the entire route actually. If you look at the map, that's a beautiful study everyone should do, because this is where the world is shifting. I remember Dr. Palitha Kohana, who became the ambassador to China, was having a dinner with us before he left.
Right.
So he was from the Cambridge. He studied at Cambridge. He was telling me, Milinda, when I went to Cambridge, the world was in that side.
Right.
That's where we studied. That's why I wanted to go to Cambridge. The language was English. The intellectuality was in the West. But if you want to send your kids to somewhere, send them to Asia, send them to China, send them to Singapore, get them educated in East. That's where the new world is. Dr. Kohani is a very visionary foreign affairs related intellectual in this country. But yes, that is the reality. What he said is the reality. So world is moving towards that side. Where are we hanging in this entire equation? We have been an unaligned country for a very long time. I respect the fact that even the President Gotabaya Rajapaksha believe in that. We are non-aligned country. Non-aligned country doesn't mean that we are not working with anyone and we are isolated. When you are a non-aligned country, we work with everyone for the best interest of people of this country.
That's right. Okay.
Best interest of people. If you ask what is our foreign policy, if you ask what is the foreign policy of President Gotabaya Rajapaksha, as a young person, young politician who was involved in crafting his policy document, I would say his foreign policy is working with the entire world, regardless which side of the world you are, for the best interest of people of this country. Even that is our economic development policy. If you ask what is Honorable Basil Rajapaksha, the new finance minister and the leader of my party, ask what is his vision for the economic development of this country, Varuna, it's very clear. It is not the old economic policy of SLFP. Most of these people have misunderstood that. We are very liberal, we are very progressive, we are looking at market in a very open eyes. We want the market to decide most of the things, but for the best interest of people, because SLPP is a party of people on the ground. So the best interest for the people, but it is not one of those very socialist kind of economic policy we had for a very long time with SLFP. We have evolved from that.
Right.
That is why even if you give me little bit of time to elaborate this little further, since we came into this,
Yeah.
I'll take one classic example, which is we all are struggling at the moment. That is the price control.
Yes.
Now that is the most controversial topic. No,
Oh, yes.
no one even wants to talk about that. Why we remove the price control of rice? That's a very current. No, that is in par with our policy. Our policy is the best interests of producers, market, and the consumer. So you have to manage everyone. You can't let alone bleed the market. That means the companies. Now, if you look at dairy industry, the loss which made by the dairy industry at the moment is 1 billion rupees per month. So this imported milk powder, one packet is losing 350 rupees from every single packet.
Yeah.
And if you take the gas, gas price increased from 130 rupees yesterday.
Yep.
The world market, not in Sri Lanka. So now today, if you buy a liter of gas cylinder, 800, almost 800 rupees lost from each cylinder
800
to that company.
Right.
They lost 2.4 billion rupees last month. Gas. Let's take a cement bag. The cement bag is losing, every single cement bag is losing 180 rupees from each cement bag they sell. Each cement bag they sell.
Right. The companies.
The companies losing. If you take pharmaceutical, the pharmaceutical price regulation was brought up. That means the price, the ceiling price was brought when the dollar was 178.
Right.
At that time, dollar was 178. Varuna. Today, what is the central bank dollar price? It is 204 or 205. So the price was given when the dollar was 178. Today it is 204. But that price adjustment was not given. See, this is where the problem is. Now we have to make a bold decision as the government that we have to make a very progressive economic decision as a country to remove these price controls. Remove these price controls and allow these companies to work on the demand and the supply. Then people have so many choices. People have choices in different layers of prices. Then the availability is ensured. The security of the companies are ensured. And so their investment for the production is ensured.
Yes,
otherwise market will collapse.
And then once you make the decisions, I think as far as I'm aware, all these decisions also disperse to the customers as well, and then they also get these benefits later on, whether it's the subsidy or whether it's the price reduction and the control. I think in the end it's for the betterment of all this all citizens in the country.
End of the day, whatever the decision we make, whether it is a political decision, whether it is a social decision, whether it is a decision about the national security, Varuna, that decision should be for the betterment of the people on the long run. Probably not for this generation, but at least for the generations coming in. So it is for everyone. It is for people.
Right. Okay. So on that note, we must mention that today's spotlight has been quite a spotlight when it comes to the development sector of Sri Lanka, not just in the grains of sand and the cements that you see in form of buildings and structures, but also about how the quality of life is set to be controlled and also to be developed in the future as well. So today, we thank once again Mr. Milinda Rajapaksha for joining in today. He's the additional Director General of the Department of Government Information Center, and we thank you once again for joining in. And with that note, we'll be coming back in the next episode or next week as well with another insightful discussion with you on Spotlight. Have a good night.